Well, I mentioned the Thursday night thriller to kick off Week 7. Here's your upcoming CBS slate. Colts versus Bolts going to have a lot of the attention in that 4 o'clock window, while Jackson Dart Mania going to try to take down Denver in the Mile High City. We also have a battle of the bottom two teams in the AFC West. It's wild to say that out loud as the Raiders travel to Arrowhead for a Sunday night showdown against the Chiefs. Of course, the Titans will also be in action on CBS, taking on the Patriots, 1 o'clock Eastern, but they will do it without their now former head coach, Brian Callahan. If you remember, he was fired earlier this week, so it will be Mike McCoy stepping in as the interim. And while Mike Vrabel of the Patriots isn't viewing this as a revenge game, it technically is. Vrabes knows Brian's position all too well. You guys remember it. He was also fired from Tennessee. But both coaches, both Vrabel and McCoy, are hoping to keep the focus on football going forward. Here's what McCoy had to say about their kickoff this weekend.
There's a lot of football left. We got a very good football team coming here this weekend, so we got to prepare for them, number one. That was the big thing. But, how we want to play, I want these guys to play hard. I want them to play tough, and I want them to stick together. And that's the big thing, very similar to what I talked to you guys about the other day of, everyone playing together. We got to play some complementary football here. All three phases coming together on Sunday.
That is the key to success, complementary football. Let's welcome in our Princess of Darkness and former CEO Amy Trask, stopping by to give us the executive perspective here on HQ. Amy, we saw the news. The Titans have moved on from Brian Callahan. It's Mike McCoy stepping in. He does have some head coaching experience. He was the head coach in San Diego for a few seasons. Kind of a two-parter here. When it comes to Brian Callahan specifically, was this the right move for the Titans?
Well, we'll see whether it was the right move. It does appear to be the right move. I was not surprised by the move after I heard a number of comments after the last game. Brian Callahan made a point of saying he felt good coming into the game. The team felt good coming into the game. And yet, almost immediately thereafter, 2 of his players disagreed with him. Defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons said, "Bad football after one of our worst weeks of practice." And the rookie quarterback said, "We felt flat at practice and we played the same way." When I heard those comments made by those 2 players, I saw this coming. We'll see ultimately if a coaching change is the right thing to do. But Mike McCoy did say something which struck me as an important comment and wise words. The best coaches best position their players to be the best. And they don't force players into schemes. They build schemes around the talents of their players. And that's what Mike McCoy said he's going to do with Cam Ward. He said the offense is going to be based on what Cam Ward does best. Players and not plays have to be the direction the team takes. That's what Mike said. He's right. That's what the best coaches do. We'll see if this is the ultimate change or whether they again make a change at the end of the season.
It seems like, Amy, as well, they kind of got lucky, the Titans did, because as I mentioned, they got an interim that has previous head coaching experience. And that's not always the case when we look at these coaches having to step in mid-season. As someone who's been a member of the front office, what are those decisions like when you're having to weigh, making a coaching change mid-season or at the end of the season? How much of that impacts the team?
Well, you referenced who's going to be the interim head coach. And I'm smiling as you're speaking because, as you know, I worked for a team owner who made a lot of head coaching changes. And every time he thought to make a change and he raised that issue, I said to him something I'm known for saying, and do what? Okay, if you want to make a change, fair enough. But what are you going to do? And do what? And if your answer to that question isn't at least as good as the status quo, then what are you doing? Well, you make a very wise, important point, Haley. They had on staff, well, they had more than one assistant coach with previous head coaching experience. But of course, Bill Callahan was not going to remain at the team he joined solely to work with his son, who was the head coach. So Bill chose to leave, and that left them with Mike. They did have a good option in answer to that question.
It's interesting when we talk about Mike McDaniel. That's all I was thinking of when you were explaining this segment. There's been so many loud comments about Mike McDaniel being fired, but to your point, and do what next? It seems to be the question in South Florida. It is interesting as well, Amy. We did a segment on HQ yesterday called Trend or Trash, and so I'm curious where you stand with this next topic. Cam Ward now becomes the latest #1 overall pick to have their coach fired during their rookie season. You see the other names on their list that have experienced this same situation. Trend or trash, whether this is something that is going to continue happening or not. What's the correlation here? What do you think of when you see this list of really talented players that have had to figure it out without a steady head coach?
I am thrilled that you used correlation, because we don't know in each instance whether it's correlation or causation. But the fact is, when a team has the #1 pick in the draft, unless the team traded up to get that pick, it has that #1 pick in the draft because it's earned it. And of course, I use earned it in the pejorative sense. If you earn that #1 pick in the draft, you've got a lot of problems on your team. It's not just the quarterback. You may have that #1 pick in the draft because you have a lot of holes on the team. You may have that #1 pick in the draft because you don't have good coaching. It can be some combination thereof. But when a team drafts a new quarterback, it has every incentive to make that work. And sometimes that incentive is well-intentioned and well-justified. You want what's best for the player. You want what's best for the team. And sometimes there are self-centered motives. A GM who drafts a player is going to want to make sure that player succeeds, lest the fingers be pointed at him to say, wait a minute, dude, you drafted this guy. What's the problem? So, of course, the GMs are going to try to make changes to best help that player win, whether that change is what's going to do it or not.
There's a lot of red tape and a lot of things that people are navigating in these situations that we don't always think about. We do know that Titans-Pats game is kicking off 1 o'clock Eastern on CBS. In that same window, we will get the Raiders at the Chiefs. Amy, this is scary. This is exactly what I was worried about at the beginning of the season when everyone was out on the Chiefs. They just continue to power up. On top of that, now they get Rashee Rice back. And on the other side of this matchup, the last time you and I spoke, you were giving Pete Carroll a little bit of coaching advice. Told him to run the damn ball. They listened when it comes to Ashton Ginty. What excites you about this matchup? And am I sensing maybe an upset in the future here for the Raiders?
Well, you're absolutely right. Raiders, you can go in and you can win this game. And I say that for a number of reasons. Even in off years for the Raiders, they've found a way to go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. 2023 is a recent example. Not a great season for the Raiders. Went in, beat the Chiefs, and oh yeah, that was the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Now look, Haley, Kansas City is probably I would say the roughest road environment in which we ever played when I was with the Raiders. Those fans are cacophonous. They create an advantage for their team, and yet the Raiders have found a way, even in off years, to go in and win. Look, I remember final game of the 99 season, we went into Kansas City and we beat the Chiefs and we knocked them out of a playoff spot. And by the way, I don't know that this speaks highly of me, but after we did that, I went walking down from the staff area to the locker room singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day." And you know what? I'm probably in trouble now because I actually just sang on air with you. By the way, I really did sing that, and someone had to put their hand on my arm and say, "Aim, you know, maybe don't sing that right now." But the fact is, Raiders, you can go in and win this game. It's a divisional game. We just saw the Giants beat the Eagles. We saw Cincinnati knock off the Steelers, top of their division. So you can beat a divisional rival. One never knows what's going to happen with a divisional rival. Kansas City, toughest place we played. And you know what? When we beat them and knocked them out of that playoff spot, it was a beautiful day.
And I hope that you are singing a beautiful day again on Sunday when this game kicks off. Amy, always a good time checking in with you, my friend, getting us set for all of the action coming up in Week 7. She mentioned it, that Steelers game last night. Steelers-Bengals certainly set the tone. This is the preview. Make sure you hang out with us on Sunday for the recap, the game day recap, that is. Me and the fellas breaking down all of the action each week, Sundays, 8:20 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports HQ.